Hey you guys, I'm sorry, I'm like 2 minutes late. I can't even tell y'all why I had so much trouble going live, but that was like performing open heart surgery. Ever since Instagram made all these updates, I don't know what to do. Anywho, I'm here, y'all. I'm excited about this conversation, and I'm gonna just start talking. Kind of do a little prerequisite. Hey, I'm gonna have a little conversation about why I'm having this conversation first, and then we're gonna get right into it. So I hope y'all have y'all stories ready to share. But we're talking about hair trauma today. There are so many reasons we're having this conversation. First and foremost, because Lovely's Hair, my salon, was started on the fact that I experienced hair trauma. I have been doing my own hair since I was 7 years old. And that is simply because, first and foremost, my mom couldn't afford to take me to the hair salon. But secondly, because every time I would go to the hair salon, it was not a good experience, y'all. Like, when I tell y'all, I have really natural hair, like the, denser, what you call 4C texture natural hair. Hey, y'all. So when I would go to the salon and try to get my hair done, specifically when I went to the Dominicans, I would try to get a press, and they would tell me, your hair don't do that. Like, your hair, you need a relaxer, So I've been, like, pressured into relaxers. I've gotten big chops when I thought I was just getting the trim. Like, I've had all those experiences. So I understand it. Like, when my clients come in the salon talking about trauma, I get it. I've been there, and honestly, that's why I try to make Lovely's Hair a loving experience. Hey, boo, hey. It's really important that I make y'all feel comfortable, safe, and like no harm is coming to you. So what we're going to talk about today is hair trauma. So please, in the comment box, tell me where y'all have been traumatized before. And we're just going to talk about what may have caused this trauma, what you can do moving forward to prevent the trauma, and what you can do for yourself to prevent running into these situations. Because sometimes it's us and sometimes it's the stylist. When I say us, sometimes it's the client, hey girl, hey. And sometimes it's the stylist that causes the trauma. But I will say, in most cases, it's the stylist. I'm gonna just be real. The stylist is responsible. Just like, any professional who's trained by the state, they have to be able to keep you notified, inform you, and make sure you don't make any poor choices. So, hey girl, hey. We're talking about hair trauma, y'all. So if y'all have any situations where y'all have had traumatic experiences, put in the comments. Until I get that, I'm going to start telling y'all what happened to me. So the traumatic experience, besides the relaxer that I got against my own will, the other traumatic experience I had was when I got my hair colored by someone else while I was natural. I was in beauty school. I didn't know a lot. I knew that I liked hair color. I had done it myself with much success. But when I went to the hair salon to get my hair colored, it was bad. Like, it ended with me losing all my curl pattern. It ended in me getting finer hair. And I can tell you why. One thing that I learned through that experience of my own hair breaking off, because I ended up having to do like a baby big chop and cut like 4 inches off of my hair because of the fact that I didn't treat my hair before and after getting color. That's one thing that a lot of people don't do. They just say, I want to get hair color and get hair color. No, it doesn't work that way. Especially if you're natural, you have to take precautions. Like, just like before surgery, they tell you not to drink any water and to do certain things, or not to drink any water, not to eat any food, not to do certain things before you have surgery. The same thing goes with hair color. Before you get a hair color, you have to make sure you are treating your hair consistently, doing protein treatments, doing moisturizing treatments, so your hair can handle what's about to go down. Because with lightening your hair, it's always breaking down layers of your hair to get to a lighter shade. So if your hair is not strong enough for that, best believe your hair gonna break off. And not only that, but it's like putting your hair through like like a facial. You know how you get those chemical peels and layers of your skin is coming off? Like layers of the hair has come off. So after you do color, you know, you really want to make sure your hair is really strong enough to handle things like flat ironing after and things of that nature. Most of my clients, I let them leave curly just to give their hair a break after color. Let me see. I don't get relaxers anymore, but when I was getting them, they would burn my scalp. I also had a patch of hair that broke off, and they blamed it on my topical scalp oil. Hold up. Let me read that one more time. I don't get relaxers anymore, but when I was getting them, they would burn my scalp. I also had a patch of hair that broke off, and they blamed it on my topical scalp oil. So, I have a lot of things to say about that. I will say first and foremost, relaxers were never supposed to burn. They were never supposed to burn. Relaxers, I repeat, were never supposed to burn. So this is the deal, y'all. Most cases, in most situations, stylists or family, aunts, moms, sisters, cousins, they would apply relaxer to your scalp. That is wrong. It's always supposed to be applied at least a 1/4 of an inch away from the scalp. And, you know, I'm not sure if y'all familiar with the application of a relaxer, but after you apply it all throughout the roots, you're supposed to go back and lift it up and smooth it up into the roots. Smooth it up into the roots. But even then, it's not supposed to be on the scalp. And if it does touch it a little bit, you're already at the end process once you're done smoothing, and it should never get to a point of burning. So if that relaxer burnt, that meant that relaxer was on your skin and literally was causing a chemical burn to your scalp. Some people's scalp are stronger than others. Some people were able to handle that. Other people had severe hair loss, and scabbing, of course, happens when you burn yourself. So that's why we had hair scabs, because we was basically burning our skin. So all that to say, that was wrong, and I'm sorry you went through that. And even with the scalp oil, it's very possible certain scalp oils could have not been a good mix with your relaxer. I'm gonna be honest, but that's not your knowledge to know. The professional should have had a consultation and asked you what you're putting on your scalp. Should have asked you, you know, if you're using anything that's stimulating, because stimulation and a chemical application does not mix. Basically, it just doesn't mix. Just like if you, I'm trying to find another good example, but you can't call something that's going to stimulate on your hair and then put something that's lifting up on your hair. It's just a bad mix. So all that to say, relaxers have been done wrong for a very long time, and I'm sorry on behalf of everybody who did it to you. They didn't know what they were doing, obviously, because if they knew better, they would do better. But all that to say, I think all of us have had that experience with relaxer burns, and I think that's really why, you know, people have strayed away from getting relaxers, because we had such a bad experience with it. We weren't giving it the right way. I have so much hair, they would get tired and sometimes not go over a second time. So yeah, it's a shame. Honestly, it's really sad that, you know, professionals were so lazy, because at the end of the day, you know, I think that's why it's a lack of respect for hairstylists now, because of situations like that. You know, no matter who you are, what kind of hair you have, that professional shouldn't touch your head if they're not qualified to deal with it. Straight like that. Like they should know upon seeing your head if that's something that they can do, and if it's not, they need to walk away and refer you somewhere else. So I'm wrong. I'm sorry that happened to you. That was wrong. Yeah, because I've been told several times, like, my hair is too thick for certain things. I was told my hair was too thick to press out. You know, I was told that I don't have a texture that can do a wash and go, and that is a lie. Every texture can wash and go. Now, will it look like what you want to look like? That's different, because a lot of people have this idea of this loose, you know, mixed chick ringlet curl that, you know, what you would classify as like a 3 pattern. People expect all wash and goes to look like that, and that's not going to happen. Okay, so anybody have any other traumatic experiences besides relaxers? If y'all don't, I'm gonna just start going in and naming them, because there's a lot of them. So another one we're gonna talk about besides color and relaxers, those are the main chemical services I hear people talk about causing damage to their hair. But more so than anything, there has been so many sad stories about big chops that were supposed to be trims. I hear that all the time. And I would say that could go in for a lot of reasons. Thank you, girl. That could go about for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, I'm not going to say the stylist was wrong for chopping all your hair off. I'm going to say the stylist was wrong for not communicating that she was about to do that. One thing I do with every client, and those clients who trust me get really annoyed when I do it, but before I cut any hair, I will turn someone to the mirror and show them what I see as far as how much needs to come off, how much breakage they have, and we're going to come up together in agreement of how much you got to cut, because you're grown. At least at this point, all my clients are grown. So if you're a grown adult, you should have an opportunity to make a decision whether you want to keep damaged ends or you want healthy hair. And I think it's a shame that for a long time stylists would just cut your hair off and not tell you why, because then you're surprised and you're mad because you thought you had length and then it's gone. So I can say for me, I've experienced that before. When I went to the hair salon, I thought I was just getting a trim, and what in my mind was a trim was just like this much, just a little trim. And girl, when I tell y'all, my hair was up here, and when I went in, it was like down here. And honestly, for all I know, because at that point I was younger, my hair could have been damaged. It could have been uneven. It could have needed that trim. But as a professional, I should have been told before that was cut off, so I could decide, do I want to have unhealthy hair in length, or do I want to have healthy hair and it be shorter? So at the end of the day, communication is key. And even if the stylist isn't that way, you grown 15-year-old trying to revive her hair. No, either way, it doesn't matter your age. I feel like you have to learn. I'd rather you learn early than later, because I'm promising you, anybody who's in their 20s, 30s, 40s, they always wish they would have learned what they learned sooner. What do they say? If I knew now, or if I knew back then what I know now, I would do stuff different. And I think all of us, we probably would have been natural a long time ago. I can only speak for myself. Would have been natural a long time ago if I would have known then what I know now. But, I got relaxers for so long because I thought that was the only option for me, because my hair was so thick. And they told me I couldn't be natural. So at the end of the day, I wish I would learn this at 12, And thankfully, some people right now don't have to go through what we went through, because there's more education and social media exposes the truth, And even if it's not completely the truth, we do get a lot more exposure online, where when I was young, we was just thugging it out, like Blue Magic, and just trying the best we could, Pink Lotion, and trying the best that we could, all that, just trying the best we could. But right now we're learning more about ingredients, we're learning more about what causes damage, we're learning so much more. So if y'all have questions, I'm here for y'all. At the end of the day, I don't know everything, because there's so many products that have came out that I have not touched because there's so many, and I have a line that I'm very faithful to because it's been tried and true for every texture in the salon, or every texture that I experience in my salon. But at the end of the day, if y'all have questions about products and stuff, because all that does make a difference, in how your hair is. I feel like we're going on a tangent somewhere else, but I just feel like a lot of us experience a lot of bad hair troubles because we weren't given education early. We were just trying to look good, doing the best we could, Hey girl, hey. So yeah, I just feel like when it comes to Black women being traumatized with hair salon experiences, it's all too common. When I have clients come in, I can always tell when there's fear involved. I had to tell a girl one day, listen, you're gonna have to look at me and trust that I'm not gonna do you like everybody else. You're gonna have to trust that we're gonna work together to get you to where you're trying to go, and I'm not gonna do anything without telling you first. So at the end of the day, it'd be like getting a new relationship after you have been cheated on and been lied to and deceived. Trying to find a stylist you trust after you've been hurt by one is basically deep. It's kind of like having to rebuild the trust to see someone new. It's hard, and I don't blame y'all, because y'all should be overprotective about y'all hair. I mean, y'all gotta live with it, y'all gotta walk with it. Y'all have probably taken a lot of strides to get where y'all are at now, so I say take extra precaution when you're finding a hairstylist. Like I always tell people, like when they say, oh yeah, I was stalking you online before I came to see you. That's good. I think y'all should stalk hairstylists really bad before y'all see them, because you don't want to sign up for someone who is going to do you wrong. Like you want to make sure that person that you're going to specializes in what it is that you want. Like I pray no one comes to me for knotless box braids, because that's not what I do. I'm going to send them somewhere else. I'm not going to do it. I pray no one comes to me for like a relaxed pixie, because that's not what I do. Could I do it? Yes. Is that my ministry? No. So I think it comes to a fact that yes, the professional should tell you they don't know how to do something or walk you through what they're about to do, but also you as a customer, who I love so much, has to do better research and make sure that you're seeing someone who you can trust. So definitely find people who specialize in what your goal is. Like if you're looking for curly hair, go to a curly hair specialist. If you're looking for a curly cut, go to someone that you see always cuts curly hair. Don't go to someone who doesn't do it. It just doesn't make sense. But yeah, I've had a lot of people even tell me that they were afraid to get curly cuts because of all the bad experiences they heard about, where people will cut their curly hair and some part be here and some part be down here, or when they straighten it, it just be all lopsided. That person that they were going to obviously didn't have an expertise in cutting curly hair, at least not that curly hair texture that you probably had. I'm glad you know your boundaries, because it shows that you care. Yes, girlfriend, because I don't want you to be mad at me. The last thing I want is for someone to be mad at me that paid me money, because bad news travels very fast. Very, very fast. Way faster than good news, to be honest. So I know my ministry. I know my boundaries. I know what I can and cannot do, because I'm not trying to set myself up or no one else up for failure. It's disrespectful, and it's gonna mess up my reputation. And I think most people should think that way, but a lot of people who are not only money hungry but might be inexperienced, they might not know what they can't do, or they might be afraid to say that they can't do it. So that's why you got to ask a lot of questions, because you want to make sure like you don't sign up to be someone's guinea pig, and you don't sign up to be someone's cash cow, because at the end of the day, like, not everyone has integrity. I wish they did, girl. I wish they did. But not everyone has integrity. Some people are about it for $1, and some people are about it to transform and educate and help you. So that's my MO, but it's not everyone's. So I really just want y'all to take responsibility, but also be mindful and research, so you don't have to worry about running into someone who doesn't care about you. Check the reviews. Check what people say about this person. But I recently, let's see. Hold up. What is your philosophy on oils? YouTubers already talk about LCO and LOC, but I recently went to a natural stylist for the first time, and she basically told me to stop using oil. So that's a complex question. I will say I believe in oils in much moderation, and it depends on the type of oil. I think when we were younger, as beautiful black girls, we were always told, oil your scalp, 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 oil your hair, oil your hair. That is a tongue twister. But yeah, they used to tell us to always oil our hair. And that was just what we had to do. But did we know why? No. So a lot of us put excess oil on our hair, which is a problem. LCO, LOC, liquid oil cream. Honestly, I am more of a LCO person. Like, if I am using oil, it is always less. And I'll explain why. So oils are sealants. Oils are a barrier on the hair. So what I mean by that is, how they say oil and water don't mix? They don't. So if you're using a product that's water-based, like a liquid, like a leave-in conditioner, like a lot of products have water in it. If you put the oil in it, they're not going to mix together, and it's also going to cause the moisturizing product, like the liquid or the cream, to not penetrate your hair, because that oil is in the way. So I always say put an oil on last if you need it. Not everyone needs the oil, but always put it on last, because the oil is going to basically create a layer. So whatever you're putting on top, whether it be a cream, whether it be a leave-in conditioner, is trying to get through that oil and it can't. So a lot of times people are oiling their scalp and oiling their hair and wondering why their hair is still dry. And that is because that oil is preventing anything from going into your strands. So for that reason, a lot of people will recommend don't use oils at all. I will say use oils in moderation. You can use oils, but just make sure you're using them for the right reason and the right kind of oil. Black castor oil, I don't know why that became the go-to, because that stuff is thick as all. So I wouldn't recommend black castor oil. Like, if I would say an oil that would be good for you, and I thank you for the hearts, it would be jojoba oil. Jojoba, that's, some people say jojoba, but jojoba, jojoba oil is the best oil, especially if it's a base, because it's the oil that is closest to the natural sebum that the scalp produces. So what that means is the oil is the same consistency of the scalp that your hair, hold on. Jojoba is the same consistency, hey girl, hey, as the oils that your scalp naturally produces. You know how your face gets oily? I got a really oily face. You see all that shine? Like, naturally, our body produces oils. So a lot of people don't need oil on their scalp because it's already getting oily. So that's why a lot of stylists say go away from oil, because you don't need it all the time. Your scalp will already produce it. So I will say, like, use a oil that's looser, that's more lucid, like jojoba oil, versus something that's really thick that can't get through the strands and cannot basically slip onto the hair without leaving buildup. That's it. That's all. That's how I feel about oil. I had another question, and I hope that answered what you were asking. I don't feel like I'm against oil, but I feel like you got to use it in moderation, and you don't need a whole lot of it, and you got to use the right kind. I do love jojoba oil and sweet almond. Yes, girl. Thank you. I do love both of those. Sweet almond oil is also very light and good for the hair too, but not every day, only as needed. Only as needed, not every day. What would you recommend to use as a leave-in conditioner? Most of my clients know I am a huge Influence hair care fan. So I would recommend the honey almond or the coconut milk leave-in. Influence is a line based out of not Richmond. It's based out of Norfolk, Virginia. It's a black-owned company. So I recommend that product because I have used it on many different textures. Depending on what texture you have, you might want to go with one or the other, because one is really thick and one is more lucid. I can actually show you, y'all. I got it. Thank God. So this is the honey almond leave-in conditioner, and I also have this available through the link in my bio, just so y'all know. But this oil is thick, not oil. This leave-in conditioner is thick. Honey is the base of it, so that is a natural emollient, that's a natural moisturizer, and almond is the protein, so that's what keeps the hair strong. So if you look at it, ooh, that just went crazy. It's thick. It's a leave-in that's thick. It's really thick, so it's a good base for detangling. It's really good for moisturizing your edges. Like if your edges get dry, you can just spray some of that on and rub it in like that, and just rub it into your edge line, because the edges get dry and you want to make sure you're applying something in the areas that get dry that can penetrate the hair, like a leave-in conditioner. Where the honey almond, not the honey almond, the coconut milk leave-in, I don't know if I have that one because my hair is thick and I normally want to get the, actually, don't judge me, I have the coconut milk one. It's just in the honey almond container, so don't judge the container. But the coconut milk is more of a spray. Like, look, y'all see that? It's not thick. So this really works better for finer textures. This leave-in is really good if you have your hair out in curls and you just want to revive it and add some moisture to it. I would recommend the coconut milk one because it's lighter. But if you need to tangle in and you need to moisturize a dry area, I would recommend the honey almond leave-in. Those are the exact products I recommend, but I always say if your hair is thick, use a product that's thicker. If your hair is fine, use a product that's lighter so it won't weigh down your hair. Let's see. What if you have dandruff and dry scalps? If you have dandruff and dry scalps, honestly, I can't tell you exactly what you need, because some people have conditions that don't allow you to use certain products. So it depends on what your condition is. Like if you have seborrheic dermatitis, you don't want to use anything that's stimulating. Seborrheic dermatitis, we're getting real technical here. I feel like we're talking about product knowledge now, y'all. But I'll go there. If that's what y'all want, we're going to go. The seborrheic dermatitis means it's an overactive scalp. So that means that it's producing more oil and more than it should. So if you use something that's stimulating, that most people use for your scalp, like peppermint, rosemary, those things will actually cause the scalp to get more built up, and it will also cause it to almost be inflamed. So I can't really say what to use if you have that conditioning. You probably need to see a dermatologist or a trichologist who knows how to treat that with some special medicine. But if you have a dry scalp simply because it's dry, or dandruff simply because of something else, then I would recommend like a rosemary treatment. Then I would recommend something like peppermint to stimulate. Influence, they have a rosemary scalp treatment that would be helpful. But besides that, you know, things that are going to lift up any dirt and things that are going to stimulate to help it not itch would be helpful if you have a dry scalp. I hope that answers your question. With wash and goes, I have difficulty finding a leave-in that won't flake when I put gel in after. What are your thoughts? Should gels or foam be used alone for wash and goes, or skip the leave-in? Honestly, I would say I would have to know what products you're using for real, because I don't have any trouble with that. Like I use leave-in, foam, and gel on clients when I do my wash and goes. And we don't have issues with flaking when we add the leave-in, but we also normally spray like this lucid leave-in that's like, you know, it's not going to build up or nothing like that. So you don't want to be putting a whole bunch of product on top of product. If you're going to add a leave-in to your hair, you want to make sure it's something that's not going to build up on the hair, because if you're seeing flakes, that means those products don't mix. So are you using products from different lines? Because if that's the case, then they might not go together, and that's why you're seeing flaking, because they don't get along. That chemistry doesn't mesh. So I would say make sure you're using products that work well together, because just like when you're mixing food together, if you mix the wrong thing in there, it'll mess up the whole meal. So I would say the same thing with same thing with hair products. Make sure that you're using the products that mesh well together, or it will start to separate and it will start to flake, because flaking is really separating. That's basically what you see when you see flaking. That product is just separating from itself, because what you're applying is offsetting it. And that same thing like oil and water not mixing together. If you're using two products that don't go well together, it's going to separate and cause buildup and flakes. So I hope that answers the question. Thank you, girl. I'm glad it does. But yeah, y'all, we went from hair trauma to product knowledge, y'all. But I'm here for it. Like, definitely ask me any other questions you have, because I plan to be on here an hour, and we just 30 minutes in. So y'all just let me know, because this conversation is definitely something that I want to give to y'all, so we can find out exactly what might be preventing you from, you know, having hair success. Is there a difference between grease and oil? When should you use grease? So that's hard. That is a hard question. So I will say yes, definitely. There's a difference between grease and oil. Grease, which I rarely use, is more of a petroleum-based product. So it's thicker. It has more barriers with it. I wouldn't really use grease. The closest thing I have to grease, and I have some products here just because I'm near my hair shelf. Let's see. Give me a second, y'all. The closest thing I would use to grease is Organic Complex. That's this. So Organic Complex is more of a light pomade, but it doesn't have as heavy amounts of petroleum in it, and it has more, I guess, beneficial products in it besides petroleum, because it does have it. That's what makes it similar to a grease. Hey y'all, hey. That's what makes this similar to a grease, because it has petroleum in it, and most greases have petroleum in it. And y'all know petroleum is similar to like a Vaseline texture. But this organic complex grease has oil, like mineral oil, jojoba oil, olive oil, shea butter oil, a whole bunch of different oils in it, ginseng. And I'm gonna let y'all see the texture. So I'll get a big amount. So this is kind of like a grease, but when you rub it together in your fingers, it breaks down and almost like turns into like an oil. So I don't know if y'all can see that, but it almost like turned into like an oil. So when you ask me, when should you use a grease? It's kind of like the same time you would use an oil, like when you want to create a seal on the hair and you want to lock in whatever you added, like whether that be like your leave-in conditioner or your styling product, you would use the grease then. But like I said, in moderation, you don't want to use oils a lot and you don't want to use grease a lot, because then it builds up on the hair. And sometimes like your hair will be greasy but still be dry, because you just have this layer upon layer upon layer of like greasiness, but underneath the hair is still dry because you've blocked it with all this oil that no moisture can get into the hair. So I would say you would use grease when you use oil, but like I said, I don't recommend using every oil because of it being so thick. Same thing for grease. I don't want to use a real thick grease because it's going to weigh down my hair, and it's going to not weigh it down, but it's not going to allow moisture to get into it. And it's just going to create that barrier. And certain greases will cook in your hair, like if you're outside in the sun. So you got to be careful. I hope that answers your question. But yeah, I would definitely say greases aren't used as often these days because we found out it's not really a moisturizer. It's not a moisturizer. How often should I oil my scalp? Can I also put more oil on my ends when they're dry? I can't really tell you how often you should oil your scalp because everybody's story is different. I rarely oil my scalp. It depends on the situation and the season. Like sometimes my scalp is drier than other seasons. Maybe my question for you is, why are you oiling your scalp? What is the reason why you feel like you need to oil your scalp? Because that's really the question we have to answer. Like, what are you feeling? What are you experiencing? Because that will let me know if you need oil or you need something else. Can I also put more oil on my ends when they're dry? Oil is a sealant. So you could put oil to seal in moisture, but you shouldn't put oil on your hair to combat dryness, because oil is not a moisturizer. It's just gonna put a layer of like slip of a seal on it. So if it's dry, you're sealing in dryness with the oil. So if you're going to use oil, that's when we're thinking about the LCO method. That's when you want to add a leave-in conditioner and maybe like a cream or a styling product, and then add the oil to seal it all in. But you don't want to oil your ends and your scalp just because. You have to know why you're using it. And when you're using oil, it's always to close what you're putting in your hair. So if your hair is dry, you don't want to close that dryness in with oil. You want to apply something that's lucid that can get into the strands, like a leave-in conditioner or a styling moisturizer. That's what you would do. Now your scalp, depending on how your scalp feels, you might want to apply a leave-in conditioner for real. Like a lot of people apply oils to their scalp when really they might just need a leave-in spray that's going to hydrate their scalp. It's going to add a lot more moisture to it. I've heard to put conditioner on the scalp since I have a dry scalp. See, that's kind of what I said, like a leave-in conditioner. Now, I wouldn't recommend using conditioner because there is a difference between leave-in conditioner and conditioner. I know a lot of people think that you can use conditioners as leave-in conditioners, and that's not true. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not true, but that's not what I'm saying you should do. Like, I think you should actually get a product that is a leave-in conditioner and use your conditioner as conditioner and use your leave-in as a leave-in, because they have different consistencies for different reasons. If the product is really thick, it's going to build up on the hair. Conditioners that you put in your hair to rinse out are meant to be rinsed out, so they're really thick. So you don't want to add a product that's supposed to be rinsed out on your scalp, because that's going to build up on your scalp, and then you have a whole nother problem. So I'm not going to say it's wrong, but I'm going to say maybe use a leave-in spray instead of a conditioner to keep the moisture in your hair, because that's why it's made that way. That's why it's made in the consistency it's made, so it can actually penetrate the hair and not have to sit on top. Let's see. Hey girl, hey. I can mix a leave-in with water in a spray bottle, right? See, we are having some good conversations tonight, y'all. So about mixing leave-in with water, I don't recommend that. I personally don't recommend that. I will say that because why are you putting water in leave-in conditioner? Like, I feel like if you have to add water, then that product's too thick. Like, why are you using water? Is it to stretch the product so it lasts longer? Because that's one thing. I mean, you're trying to stretch it, but if you add water, you're diluting the effectiveness of the product. Also, if you need to add water, then it's probably, I need to know why. Because honestly, mixing leave-in with water, it's diluting the product, so you're losing the benefits. And if it's too much water, you could be drying your hair out. Surprisingly, spraying your hair with water is not always a great thing. Just like if you wash your hands again and again and again and you don't put on lotion, your hands will get dry. If you have too much water on the hair and not enough moisture locking it in, then it will become dry. Once that hair dries and the air settles, it will almost feel crispy. So you don't want to use too much water to apply to your hair often, because that's supposed to be done at the shampoo process, not daily. So I guess that's my answer. I hope that answers it. Hey Cass. But yeah, I would say you can mix leave-in with water in a spray bottle. I'm not gonna say you can't, but I just want to know why you're doing it, because honestly, you might just need a product that's a little bit more the consistency you're looking for, and you wouldn't have to mix water. That's another, step that, we can prevent you from having to take. Let's just get you like for instance, this is a great example. So this leave-in is really thick. This is the honey almond leave-in. As I showed y'all, it's thick. Like, that thing ain't moving. And you might be trying to mix some water with it so it can get into this consistency like this. So why put water in this product and dilute the benefits of it if you can just use this product that's already the consistency that you want it to be? So I guess I gotta know why you're mixing water with this so I can better understand. Yeah, girl, you came at the right time. Ask any questions you have. Why? To stretch out the product and so I can actually detangle, laugh out loud. But that's just me. And there's nothing wrong with it. I am not one to criticize. I am not one to condemn and say that you're wrong. That's not true. But I just want to know why, so I can help direct you to probably doing something that's more productive or more helpful to your hair. But if you're using it to stretch out the product, that's fine. Just know with adding water and stretching it out, it's not going to be as effective. Because if you got orange juice in the fridge and you add some water to stretch it out, is it going to taste as good? No. Is it going to have as much nutrients? No. So the same thing with your hair product. Like if you add water to stretch it out, it will still stretch out the product, and it might get you a little bit further when it comes to using it, but it might not give you as much moisture anymore because you added so much water. And it might not do the benefits that you're using the product for because you added so much water. So you might want to just use a product that's looser, that helps you to detangle better. So you don't have to do that, because you might just be spraying water on your hair at some point. And then we know what we talked about. If you're just spraying water on your hair, you could be drying it out, because once that water dries, your hair going to be crispy. Just like how dry your hands are if you don't put on lotion. So that's just how that goes. Yeah, I'm glad we're having this conversation. What's something that you wish more people knew about taking care of their hair? Girl, that is a good question. Y'all about to have me preaching tonight. So one thing that, oh my God, it's so much that I wish people knew more about taking care of their hair. But I'm gonna get to the psychology part, and then I'm gonna get into details. So, and all my clients know this who come see me. But my biggest thing is, like, you gotta love your hair. that's why, you know, my business is called Lovely's Hair, because I'm licensed and devoted to help women love their hair. So when you take the time out to love on your hair, and when I say love your hair, I mean like that was your new boo that you want to spend time with. You want to get to know them. You want to go places with them. You want to, you know, try new things with them. Like, I want you to love your hair like that new relationship, you know, because you get what you give. Think about the relationship that you nurture that way. Like someone that you're spending so much time with, someone that you're buying gifts for, someone that you're buying things for and spending time with is going to love you back and treat you a lot better than the person you don't call, you don't spend no time with, you don't check on, you don't wrap and hold tight at night. You know, that person ain't gonna love you the same as the one you invest time in. So I always tell people, why do y'all expect to have successful hair and successful happy hair if you don't even do your hair? Like, if you don't spend the time to love your hair, like you don't even moisturize your hair, you don't wrap your hair, you don't deep condition your hair, you don't take your hair to the doctor, to the hairstylist to get trimmed and treated and checked on. Like, you're not doing any of the things necessary to show that you're committed to having a good relationship with your hair. So I always tell my clients, your hair gonna tell on you. It's gonna treat you how you treat it. So if your hair is dry, brittle, broken, tangled, anything that's weakened and damaged, it shows me that you haven't given it the attention it deserves. Just straight like that. Now, it might be because you don't know how, and that's okay. You're not wrong for that. But you do have to find out how so you can do better. But just like if you're having a bad relationship and y'all don't get along, but you like the person that you're with, but y'all don't spend time, y'all don't get along, y'all don't see each other like I used to, like, you're probably gonna talk to a friend to ask how you can make this relationship better. You're probably gonna go see someone and ask if y'all can go to a counselor, because if you really want that relationship to work, y'all want to be together for the rest of your life, you want to keep your hair on your head for the rest of your life, you might have to seek professional help. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with needing help. But you got to know when you need help so you can get help. And then they can tell you proper steps to take after you leave them so you can actually continue to have success. So I would say that would be the thing that I would say most people don't know about their hair that they should know. Because you get what you give. And that's it. Like, you know, that's the one thing I just wish everyone knew. Like, your hair gives you what you give it. Everyone that has really happy, healthy hair that I've encountered, they do not miss wash day. They do not deep condition their hair. They do not get their trims consistently. They do not put their hair in stressful hairstyles that pull out their hair. They are really overprotective about their hair, and it shows. And those who come in with really neglected hair, I know what you've been doing. I know you ain't been spending time with your hair. I know you don't wrap your hair at night. I know you don't deep condition. Like, I can tell. You can tell. You can judge hair by what it shows you. So I can definitely tell you that's what I wish everyone knew. That you can't lie. Your hair will tell you what you're doing. Let's see. What are some things that can be used instead of a moisturizer? Oh, wow. Some things that can be used instead of a moisturizer. So, a moisturizer, what are you referring to? Because there are a lot of different products that can be used as moisturizers. You can use a leave-in conditioner as a moisturizer. You can use a styling cream as a moisturizer. You can use a foam as a moisturizer. You can use a butter as a moisturizer. So what things can be used as moisturizer or instead of moisturizer? It's kind of like more so what are you going to use as a moisturizer instead of, because you want to moisturize your hair. You want to make sure your hair is moisturized. You want to make sure it has some slip on it or it's going to break. Friction, movement on dry hair causes it to snap. It causes it to crack and bleed and break. So just like, you know, you don't want to take a shower and not put on lotion and then be rubbing your hands together like this. You don't want to style your hair without a moisturizer. So I would say don't ever use something instead of a moisturizer. Just always use a moisturizer. So you just got to pick which one you like better. It might be a leave-in if your hair is like fine and you don't want to weigh it down with like a cream or butter. It might be using a leave-in and a styling cream if your hair is really thick and needs a lot of extra slip to get through it and more moisturizing to lock it in. It might be a leave-in and a foam if you have like fine to medium hair and you want your hair to be movable. You don't want it to be weighed down. You might just use a leave-in conditioner as your moisturizer and your foam as your styler. So I will say, if you want to know what things you can use instead of a moisturizer, because it's rare that I see a product and it says moisturizer. But mind you, I don't shop products a lot anymore because I use the same products, the same line for the past 3 years. But I will say, you know, most products have a description, but most things that are used as moisturizers are cream, foam. Whoa, sorry y'all. Most things that are used are moisturizers are cream, foam, leave-in, butters, and sometimes people use, I think, certain jellies as moisturizers, but that's more of a styler. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah, I was saying, I don't know what kind of moisturizer you normally use. You know, depending on what moisturizer you normally use, I could tell you what you can use instead. So tell me what you normally use. I can give you other options. What is the difference between shedding and breakage? Whoa, girl, you asking some good questions now. That is a great question. So this is how you know if it's shedding or breakage. If the strand is long, if the strand is the length of your hair, it's shedding. If the strand is short, like half of the length of your hair or shorter, it is breakage. So when you see long strands, that's always shedding. When you see short strands, that's always breaking. Because the hair, when it's snapping, it's not going to be the whole length of the hair. It's going to be certain portions of the hair that's being broken. So that's how you know it's breaking, because it's short. If it's long strands from roots to ends, and you can also see, like, sometimes at the very root of the hair, you can see like this little light tip of it. That's how you know it's shedding. But yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that, because I'm sure a lot of people want to know that. Hey, Kamika girl. Yeah, that's a very good question. So yeah, I hope everyone got that, because that's a great thing to know if your hair is shedding or breaking. If it's short strands, then it's breakage. If it's long strands, then it's shedding. If it's long strands, then it's shedding. If it's short strands, then it's breaking. So that's how you know. If the strand is any less than like half of your hair length, then it's breakage. If it's as long as your strand, it's shedding. All right. What are the ingredients to look for when you're looking for a moisturizer? Sometimes I get confused at the store, laugh out loud. So this is a complicated question. Because every product line uses different ingredients, and it's no one size fits all. That's a hard question to answer, because most moisturizers have water in it. They have a little bit of water in it at least to help to, you know, create the lucidness. If they don't have water as a base, then they have aloe. Aloe is an organic base for moisturizers. Aloe-based products, which are normally organic, are a lot more pricey, and you don't really find those in stores as much. So besides that, you want to see the first 5 to 10 ingredients having something that's beneficial to your hair. So depending on what your hair needs, it might vary. Like, the ingredients, they're so far and wide. So I would say it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something that's going to be just adding more slip on the hair, you want to look for it to have a little bit more oils in it versus that's a good question. Honestly, I feel like I would just be finessing an answer. I'm actually about to look at some products to see what I would recommend, but really I would say as long as it don't have, you know, a lot of alcohols in it, then you're good. Because if it has a lot of alcohols or silicones in it, that's bad. So I would say those are the main things you don't want to see in it, because alcohols are drying to the hair. If it's a lot of, like, more than like 3 of them, that's a problem. Or even more than 2. Silicones are like oils. It creates like a barrier on the hair. So you don't want to use products with a lot of silicones unless you're using it for a sealant. You don't want to see silicones in your moisturizer. That's how you know it's not really gonna moisturize your hair well. So I hope that answers the question. Sorry, I had to dig for that answer, because I'm like, what products to look for? To be very honest, I'm not really huge on like reading every little product detail of the ingredients, just because, to be honest, a lot of those things are agents to help to keep the longevity of the product, and sometimes the damage comes from having excessive amounts of an ingredient versus the ingredient itself. So it's a lot of chemistry. It's a lot of knowing like the percentages of what is in it for it to really, you know, make sense when you're reading product ingredients. Because it doesn't make sense to know, oh, it shouldn't have this, if you don't know which amount of this is bad. Because I think so many people run because it has a certain product in it, but it's always like how much of that ingredient, not if it's in there. You know, just like salt, if you do a little bit of salt in something, you can't even taste it. Like, I know some people, you know, bake and add a little bit of salt. You don't taste salt. But if you put too much salt in it, yes, that's a problem. You're gonna get high blood pressure. It's going to like lose its flavor and take over the whole dish. Same thing with products. You don't want it to be that much of the ingredients that aren't good, like alcohols and stuff. So that would be my answer to that question. Yeah. Look for moisturizing properties like aloe, jojoba oil. What else? Yeah, look for more natural ingredients like honey and things like that in the hair product. Yeah, I would say that's my question. That's my answer to the question. Let me know if that was helpful, because I don't want to lie and start naming stuff if I'm not really truthful about it. But yeah, I just feel like more so than anything, you got to spend the time to find what your hair likes instead of continuously trying different products. You have to actually give it time to work, and you have to find your method of using it. Thank you. I'm glad that was helpful. You have to find your method of using it that works, because half the time it's not that the product doesn't work, it's like the application that you're messing up. The amount that you're applying, or the order in which you're applying it. Like we talked about before, if you're adding a leave-in and then you're adding an oil and then you're adding a cream and then you're adding a foam, you done lost all the benefits of using the products when you mix it with too many things and you're using it in the wrong order and you're not applying it the right way or the right amount. So I wouldn't say stress about which products, but find one that works and learn how to use it well. That was helpful. How often do you go live? Honestly, not often at all. Do y'all want me to go live more? If so, tell me how often, because I'll do it. Half the time I don't go live because it's, anyone who goes live can tell you it's kind of nerve-wracking, because if you don't get engagement, you feel silly. You're like, why am I here? But thankfully, y'all have been talking to me, so I don't feel that stupid. So thank God. But yeah, I don't go live often, but if you would like me to go live more, definitely let me know and I will. It is another way I can protect my ends at night without using rods. I do the twist, but it feels as if the end of my hair is not getting any love. What are you putting on your product? What product are you putting in your hair when you do the twist? Let me know that, and then I can let you know how to protect your ends. And when you say do it in a twist, is it like a flat twist? Is it like a 2-strand twist? Are you trying to do a twist out? Because when you're looking for a product to protect your ends, I got to know what your goal is when you're twisting it. Is your goal to like create a style, or you're just trying to hold your hair at night to, wrap it? And that'll help me to know. And if your ends aren't getting any love, if they feel bad, then more than likely it's because they're not being moisturized enough. They don't have enough product that's moisturizing on it. I wear afros a lot. How should I preserve them throughout the week? Honestly, afros are unique. You know, they don't require as much maintenance. If you're just really wearing an afro, not a wash and go, like it's truly organically an afro, then honestly I would say spray it with some leave-in. You know, just fluff it at the roots. Really, that would be the main thing I would say, preserving it with, because you don't want to put a whole bunch of oils on it and then it's just like buildup of shine and not even buildup of shine, but greasiness. So I would say more of a leave-in would be what I recommend. A cream, like a butter, a little bit of a butter would be helpful with your fro. And when I say add some, I mean like put some on your hands, rub it in your hands, and go like this and rub on the roots of your fro, and then like through the strands of your fro. Because I think sometimes people don't get their whole head when they do the moisturizing, and that's why their roots be so dense and dry sometimes, because they skip that area, especially in the middle. That middle is always so neglected. So when you're moisturizing and, you know, taking care of or trying to preserve your afro, the softer it is, the better. So definitely use a little bit of moisturizer and dig up in the roots of it, rub it, get through the ends. When you say preserve it, if you're trying to keep the look or the shape of it, you know, pineappling is always great. I am a big fan of doing multiple pineapples. So one here, and then one in the middle. I'm all about a demonstration. I got your back. I'll show you as much as I can. But yeah, I would say doing multiple pineapples might be helpful, like doing one here, and one here, if you want to keep a balance of the shape. Or you can just put it all up high if your hair is pretty long. That doesn't really work well if your hair is shorter. Sometimes people will feel like the back of their hair gets stretched out if they do high ponytails and their hair isn't very long. You're welcome, girl. I hope that was helpful. But yeah, honestly, Cass, I would say if you're doing the twist outs, you should be using the foam. The styling foam will really help you. So, do you have some of that? Hey, Terry. If you have some of the foam, that would be really helpful for your twist outs at night. That will do the job, definitely. Yeah, it's tried and true. It does the job. Either that or the growth cream or the Shea Butter Moisture Lock. Those are the three main products I would say use to twist your ends at night to help to keep it moist. Hey, Terry. Hey. You're coming in at the end of the conversation. We got like 3 more minutes left. But I'm going to post this afterwards. Pray for me, y'all, that this video doesn't get lost, because the last time I did a live, it did not save. So just pray that this one saves for me so I can share it so other people can watch it who missed it. Yeah, definitely. Pray for me. Pray for me. But yeah, I'm going to save this live, Terry. I'm going to try my best to save it and go back and watch it, because honestly, it was a lot of gems being dropped here today. And I want you to not miss what was talked about. If I want to color my hair, how to I prep for it? I got 2 more minutes, y'all, just so you know. If you're gonna color it, first off, it depends on what color you want to do. That would vary on how you prepare for it. But I would say the biggest thing is doing deep conditioning and also doing protein treatments before your color. Do your protein 6 to 8 weeks before you do your color, and do a deep conditioning every time you wash your hair before your color. So every 2 weeks if you wash your hair every 2 weeks, every week if you wash your hair once a week. Yeah, because the one thing you want to do is make sure your hair has slip. Sorry, y'all, I got thirsty. You want to make sure your hair has slip, and you want to make sure it's strong enough to handle the color, because if your hair is dry before you color it, when you color it, it's going to be even drier. If your hair is weak before you color it, it's going to be even weaker. So you want to make sure your hair is at its prime. It feels the best that it has ever felt. It is soft. It is strong. Your ends are trimmed before you color, because it is going to create more of a stress on the hair. I'm not going to say it's going to break your hair off, but I will say that when you color your hair, it does make it more vulnerable to getting dry and more vulnerable to breaking. So if you take the steps to do those treatments before your color, then you won't have as much opportunity for your hair to break. And also after your color, you want to do the same thing, do those deep conditionings every time you wash, and your protein treatment like 6 weeks after. And that's something that you want to do consistently until you feel like your hair feels its very best, and then you can slow up on how often you deep condition. But honestly, you can't go wrong deep conditioning your hair a lot. Like, no one's hair ever broke off from doing too much deep conditioning. People's hair has broke off from doing too much protein. So don't over protein your hair. You can deep condition it often, but protein treatments only every 6 to 8 weeks. I hope that answers your question. But I will say, yeah, deep conditioning, just make sure you don't sleep in your deep conditioner. That is a big problem that I think a lot of people don't know. Thank you, girl. Sleeping in deep conditioner is really bad. So don't put your deep conditioner in and keep it overnight, because if you do that, it's kind of like, I love making analogies for things that make sense, but it's probably going to cut me off soon. So if it cuts me off mid-sentence, I'm sorry, y'all, because it didn't even, normally it has a timer at the top. It didn't do that. But yeah, if you sleep in deep conditioner, it's kind of like staying in a bathtub too long. If you stay in a bathtub too long, your fingers start to get all pruny and like soft and crazy looking. So if you sleep in your deep conditioner, the same thing is going to happen to your hair. It's going to get over softened. And if your hair is over softened, that's a tongue twister. If your hair is over softened, it will break and snap easily because it's gotten so soft that it doesn't have the elasticity or strength to withstand manipulation. So you don't want to deep condition longer than 20 minutes. Hey boo, you gonna come at the end like that? I wish you was here earlier. But yeah, I would say no more than 20 minutes if you're under heat, no more than 30 minutes if you don't have heat on your hair. But yeah, definitely deep conditioning is the best advice I can give you before you color your hair. Deep conditioning and protein treatments are life. And if your hair feels strong and happy before you put it on, just make sure the person who's coloring it cares enough to respect your hair and take the time to not over process it. And I think you'll have much success. Ooh, my phone is like, girl, you are done. But yeah, y'all, if y'all have any other questions, we are about to conclude. Definitely let me know if y'all have any other questions or concerns. You know, I'm here for this. Thank you so much for your compliments on my advice. What's a frozen treatment? Did I say frozen? I was saying protein treatment. Protein and deep conditioning. Protein treatment. I didn't say frozen, and if I did, I apologize. I didn't mean to say that. But yeah, y'all, if y'all want me to go live again, tell me how often would y'all like me to, because I feel like, you know, a lot of valuable information was given here this evening. Even though we left hair traumas and just started talking about hair care and product knowledge, I'm all right with it. But if y'all want to do more lives, let me know. I don't mind. And if so, tell me how often so I can put it on my calendar. Okay, until next time, thanks for all your advice. Okay, nice to meet you. It was a pleasure. But yeah, if y'all want me to do more lives, I will. If this was a one-time, you know, good time, that's all right for me too. It's like, nah, I'm gonna go live again. But yeah, I'm about to close, y'all. I enjoyed y'all. This was definitely a productive conversation. I feel like we got a lot of, you know, knowledge spread about hair trauma and styling and products. Maybe monthly lives. I like that. Yeah, because then it's not overwhelming. And then I won't get, you know, old too fast. So yeah, I'm going to do once a month. I like that. Let's do once a month. I'm feeling it. That was good. So, all that to say, I'm going to go and pray that this live saves. I appreciate y'all for engaging, and I'm definitely thankful. And feel free to share this live after I save it so other people can get the gems that were dropped as well. All right, talk to y'all later. Have a great night.